We've increased special ed teachers. We added an office coordinator at the middle school. We have brought in custodians. We've expanded GATE, made our nurse full-time, and added a speech-language pathologist assistant. And all of these will be funded next year. So spending the COVID funds is kind of a monitored process. So we've, not just with these positions, but we've added many, many things to our schools that have had long-lasting sustainability and improvement on many levels. So it shows a continued commitment to make sure that we are doing everything we can to support our schools. That's our 22-23 budget.
So on this last slide,
Yeah.
all of this is funded out for one additional school year, and then this will all pretty much be cut because we won't be able to.
Well, I can't say that necessarily, because some funds will probably go out a third year, but it won't cover everything.
But
So there will have to be, there's planned that some of these positions over the course of the next year, like moving into next year, will maybe move out of this money into a permanent general fund position as we have attrition.
Okay.
You
And
know,
the
that
theory
was kind
is
of the
that
plan.
it's to help get us back
Yes.
in par after
Yes.
COVID.
Yes.
And then we won't necessarily need these positions any longer.
Yes, but it was also very deliberate that what we are hiring were intended to be able to seamlessly transition into positions that may be vacated through retirement or resignation over the course of the next 2 years, so that we're not going to lose. And some we will probably bring back to the board to say there may not be targeted funds to keep them, but we're keeping them. It's an essential part of what we believe needs to be instituted into the general fund.
So with the staffing, are some of those tenured positions then that we're going to have to keep on?
So the way that this works for certificated, with certificated, anyone funded in a categorical program, state or federal grant, are issued what they call a temporary contract year over year. And they have that contract as long as the funding is carried into the next year. If the funding expires, so does their contract. But like I said, on the certificated end, it was very deliberate that there would be seamless movement to be retained in the positions and at the sites that they're at with attrition. For classified employees, it's different. Classified ed code does not care how they're funded. Once you hire, and they are employees of the district. In order to release any of them, you would do a resolution for reduction due to particular kinds of service or funding. So it's a process. But again, the intent is for that not to happen. So we are being very strategic about all of our monies to make sure that most of these will remain with us in other capacities.
And currently, under their contracts, or they have a COLA each year, or are they part of the step?
They're on the salary schedules, so
Also
whatever happens
also.
to the salary schedules happens to these folks also. They are employees of the district with all benefits and rights, and their only delineation is how they're funded. That's really it.
And the tenure.
And yeah, you're right. So they won't get tenure until they're in the actual general fund.
Right. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, slide 26, where it shows unrestricted expenditure budget assumptions.
Yes.
I guess just above that, you had stated there's no proposed program improvements. Do we think that like everything's great, we don't need to improve programs, or what is that? I'm just trying to understand what that means.
So in the past, that may have been an additional science teacher. That may have, it was usually staffing. It wasn't so much like professional development or supplies unless it was really material. And right now, we're not, I'm not saying that nothing will end up here, but right now, there's nothing in this category, mainly because we have all of these other services that are supplementing our programs.
Yes, all our program improvement efforts are being funded by the COVID money.
Right.
The $8 million.
That's what I was
Yes.
like, it looks like, hey, we don't have to improve anything.
No.
Like everything's fabulous, and that's
We're-
not like, well, there's always room for improvement.
Yes, there is.
So, okay.
There is.
That
I just
it's,
wanna
what we're saying is
clarify.
that we're not adding staff
Okay.
in the unrestricted. because
It's happening in the granted.
we're using the $8 million
Thank you.
for all of our program improvement efforts at this time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And not all of that 8 million are staff. Like so that's, we've done a lot with that money. We've brought that before. I could do that again too, but this will look different as we probably go into 24-5. And we see some of that money expire, and the positions that haven't attritioned into other vacancies, we will probably be bringing some of that to you in the next year or two.
So there are program improvements, they're just listed in a different section.
Well, they're being funded differently.
Yeah, they're being
now.
funded, they're shown, reflected in.
Yes, they're being funded
in
differently this year and
that.
for 22-3.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Marina, I just want to say, I personally want to thank you for your very professional presentation on the actual true facts and figures of making this such a sound budget.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we'll get another presentation next month. We'll move right along to our Measure U items. I believe we have a public comment on this one,
Yes, we do have a public comment.
on a specific item or just Measure U in general?
It's Measure U in general.
Okay,
From Employee Union President Jay Hochner.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, and Ms. Thomas, if you could please advise me when I may begin. Thank you. This comment addresses how the CUSD accounts for the costs and development actions associated with Measure U funds. It is important to examine how the CUSD manages the Measure U fund in order to better understand how current expenses reflected in Agenda Item G, all 4 of them, are tracked and managed. Union leadership would be interested to know if the school board trustees ever received the letter informed by recently resigned Measure U fund managers and provided in early February in 2022. It clarified much on the topic of the recent Measure U accounting failures that led to the unbudgeted Measure U expense of, or the alleged unbudgeted Measure U expense of $311,000+. Suffice to say, Assistant Superintendent Fitzgerald was not terribly accurate when making her statements to the board on January 25th and February 8th regarding that budgeting error. Based on the district's previous accounting program, Colby, which was used to manage the Measure U fund, current district leadership had already been advised of pending and previous Measure U expenditures, regardless of whether Ms. Fitzgerald failed to place all of those expenditures in the budget. Before Ms. Rigby and Ms. Fitzgerald's unique and toxic workplace culture drove the previous Measure U managers to resign and retire, they both had full access to discover the alleged unbudgeted mistake of over $311,000. It existed in the Colby program data available to the CUSD. But you wouldn't have guessed that after witnessing the finger-pointing exercise that occurred in front of the community on both January 25th and February 8th. As a result of the toxic professional culture introduced and maintained under Ms. Rigby, the team of experts previously hired by CUSD to manage the Measure U fund had resigned and or prematurely retired from the district, and as a result, there remained no expertise in the entire district to either replace these talented Measure U managers or advise the district on how to manage the Measure U fund. At the same time, district leadership consolidated their power and influence over the Measure U fund and awarded Assistant Superintendent Fitzgerald a hefty salary increase to oversee that fund. All of this occurring even though the union could find, we've not been able to find, and the board or the district has not presented upon request, any record that the assistant superintendent possesses any expertise in either construction and building, public works, or perhaps even a formal CPA credential. One of the one moment. So one of the first actions that Ms. Fitzgerald and Ms. Rigby took was to throw out that
Mr.
software program.
Hochner, you really don't need to make these personal attacks.
Hey,
It's very
Just the
unprofessional
facts,
of you.
ma'am, you know?
No, they're not
You
facts.
need the
They're
facts.
not facts, and you're out of line.
Yep.
And it's amazing the accolades you're attributing to someone that you eviscerated regularly in these very board meetings.
When did we do that, Mr.
Oh,
Schaefer?
there's so many times, Mr. Hotchner.
No, I don't recall.
You're
I don't recall
you're
that.
ridiculous. Actually,
Okay,
you're
all right.
ridiculous.
We're gonna go ahead and move
Thanks
on.
for not personalizing it, Mr. Schaefer. Good advice.
Okay, we'll move on to item G1. This is the notice of completion for Aliso Elementary School Phase 3. On April 14, 2020, the board approved the GMP with McGillivray Construction Incorporated in the amount of $2,734,282. The completed construction amount is $2,433,848.10. Pursuant to Civil Code Section 9204, a notice of completion must be filed within 15 days after the completion of the work or improvement. The district staff has inspected the project and they are satisfied with all work that has been completed per the contract documents. To ensure the district has received all preliminary 20-day and stop payment notices per Civil Code Sections 9300 through 9306, retention will be held for no more than 30 days. In accordance with Public Contract Code Section 7107, retention will be held more than 60 days. Pursuant to Civil Code, final notice of completion for McGillivray Construction Incorporated in the amount of $2,433,848.10. May I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that. Well, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
But it looks to me like if we receive all the 20-day notices, that we release retention in 30 days. If we don't receive them, it's 60 days. All right.
But the cost wasn't decreased in over 300,000? Yes. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you, McGillivray. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item G2, the board is asked to approve the estimate from the Flag Factory Main Street Banner USA for removal and installation of 3 upper wall banner cable systems at the CHS Gym. The estimate includes installation and removal service with pickup, delivery fees, and taxes. The cost of installation and removal of the 3 upper wall cable systems at the CHS Gym is $4,994.79, paid with the Measure U funds. A motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Item G3, the board is asked to approve the contract with L.M. Sweeney and Associates Incorporated for services for pre-qualification of bidders. Services shall include but are not limited to providing individualized assistance to the district verifying qualification of bidders. They will prepare, distribute, and receive pre-qualification materials, evaluate, notify bidders, conduct appeal processes when required, and maintain file and record of proceedings. Pre-qualification services will be $550 per bidder. The cost of pre-qualification services will be paid with Measure U funds. Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
A second?
I'll second that. I have a question.
Me too. Go ahead.
So, this pre-qualification, if we, I mean, are we ensuring that we have this list provided to the bidders so that we don't get 30 bidders
Yep.
submitting
Yes.
their information?
All bidders must be pre-qualified to bid on our project.
No, I understand that, but if we get 30 bidders that are interested, we're paying $550 for every bidder to pre-qualify themselves? Or be
We
pre-qualified?
have many that are on the pre-qualified list already. So it would only be anybody coming in that's not currently pre-qualified.
Okay.
So it wouldn't, just because they're bidding on the next LLB project.
Is this on our pre-qualification list, or is it on a pre-qualification list that has been established by similar parameters somewhere else?
Similar parameters, but Linda Sweeney keeps our list
Okay,
for CUSD.
all right. And this is something we've done in the past?
Yes, yeah.
How many more do we anticipate?
1, maybe 2.
Okay. How many more bids?
So we're going to be going out for lease-back contractor for Maine. And then we will not have another bidding for a lease-back contractor until we end up doing a project at the middle school or high school. So Canalino and Aliso lease-back projects I take that back. Aliso, the K classrooms would require another lease back, because Aliso was phased out in their contract advertising for LB contractor. Catalina was not. So the Catalina LLB award was for the modernization of Catalina Elementary School. It was after that point where they phased it. So we don't have to go out every time we're going to add, like the summer work for this year, next year, and the learning center. Those do not have to go back out for lease back bid.
Okay. All those in favor of item G3?
Aye.
Aye. Item G4, the board is asked to approve the proposal from Tri-County Office Furniture for the purchase of furnishings for the CHS admin building being modernized during Phase 3 of the CHS campus modernization. The proposal cost is $66,942.65, which includes assembly, installation, and sales tax paid with Measure U funds. A motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
Some of those pieces of furniture were hard to understand what they were. Could
I
you
know, technical
explain
terms.
some of those things?
So basically, it's just office furniture, conference room furniture, cabinetry, shelving, and then we'll be also bringing the technology components for camera, for the TV, wall-mounted TVs and other infrastructure. But it's basically all of the chairs. It's the whole gamut.
Okay.
In
Well,
technical
I figured
terms.
that, but some of them was like a lock system or something. I thought, does everybody have lock systems?
Some cabinets have to lock.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like a separate item in the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor of item G4?
Aye.
Aye. Item H1 is our personnel summary. The board is asked to approve the following recommended personnel items. We have 1 resignation, 1 retirement, 1 leave of absence, and 5 spring coaching assignment changes. Making a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Our last item, or second to last, is board announcements. Any board announcements this evening?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Board calendar, Monica, what do we got? Nothing? All right, this meeting's adjourned.